Hey, hey, infinite beings, welcome along to another session of the Infinite Me. And yes, you are already infinite, and this is going to become very important in this session today. We're on a rant, and we've got a lot to say about this topic. So I'm Nat, and over there is Mandy, my sister. Every day we're getting together and just having chats in the moment about all things to do with being infinite, and how to live more of that infinite, more of your infinite self in everyday life. And again, that's going to be really important in today's conversation. So yesterday we talked about the fact that you're already infinite, and you were infinite long before the human game was ever created, before the money game became created, and you got caught in not having enough money and all your credit card debt and all those sorts of things, and having a body and getting sick and feeling disease and all those different things that we have in the human game. You have always been infinite, way beyond all that human story, and you still remain infinite as well. So those things don't have to affect you, and you don't have to buy into the stories of those things if you don't want to, unless you want to. So go back and have a look at that chat yesterday, or have a listen. And right, today we're breaking protocol a little bit. We're not going to do the infinite lucky dip that we normally do. Mandy normally has the infinite lucky dip, and we pull out something each day to have a listen to, or to talk about, sorry. But today we're going to break protocol because we're on a rant. We have been triggered by something that Mandy's gone through just this morning, and we want to talk about this because this really is the base level of what we're talking about in the Infinite Me, and we are going to pound people about this over and over again, because this is the very stuff that keeps people looping spiritually over and over and over again. People doing consciousness work for 10, 15 years, still not getting it, and it's got to stop. And we are definitely ready to deal out some tough love about this stuff. So Louise rant. Louise read. Yeah, funny. Love a good rant. Louise rant loves a good read, and and Chantal in the house. Awesome. Thank you, lady.
Hi, Chantal. Hello.
Fantastic to have
Thanks
you here.
for joining us.
Yes. All right. Let's go, Mandy. What happened? What triggered?
Well, I guess there's been there was something that happened this morning, which I'll share in a minute. But I think Nat and I have been in this energy for a little while now. We've got some ideas in the background that we've been sort of alluding to a couple of times, like quite a big idea that we kind of want to bring to the world. It's going to shift up some stuff, and it is going to be a bit of a tough love, I guess, in some aspects, in terms of holding people to the fire, I guess, of if you want to live in an infinite life, then this is what you got to do. Like, this is what it looks like. And so this, so we're in that energy. Like, it's been definitely coming through, like this whole creating space, like that we talked about last week when Nat was kind of physically sick, and I was sort of feeling a whole bunch of physical kind of stuff going on too. And it was all around this. We knew that there was this energy coming through that we needed to create some room for. And it's like just landing now, like what that is. And we are kind of fired up about it. So then this thing that happened this morning, just kind of like, I had this real visceral like feeling in my body that I had to say something about this. And this is everything that we're talking about here for the Infinite Me. So
yeah, it's got some. This is the perfect experience that you went through, because I think it's fired us both up to really get very clear on what the Infinite Me is all about and what we're here to deliver.
Yes. Yeah. So today in a Facebook group that I am part of, a private group, which is attached to a coaching program which I finished last year. So there's some of our people that watch our videos are definitely in that group as well. And so everyone's gone through this year-long coaching program of how do you live basically an infinite life? What does that look like? And so there was a post in the group this morning of a friend of mine that's reading a book, and she sort of put up this book saying, I'm really loving this book right now. And I just sort of saw the cover. She had a photo of the cover of the book, and this is nothing against her personally at all. Like, it's just what this image of the book and the wording on the book in particular just triggered within me. And so basically the title of the book is Shit Your Ego Says: Strategies to Overthrow Your Ego and Become the Hero of Your Story. And I'm not sure if I can show if it will show up. I can show you the book cover.
Yeah. Got it there. It might got the headline anyway. Shoot your ego self. Yeah.
So anyway, so yes. So I just had this real visceral response to seeing that book cover, because I just went, what the fuck? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Like, that was my response. Because I was just like, it was just like this kind of like, why are you reading a book that has that on the title? Like, it's kind of, there's like several points, like shit your ego says. Okay, so we're putting the focus on the ego. Strategies. So there is a strategy to overcome, your ego. So again, all this mind bullshit stuff that we buy into, but there is a strategy. And then overthrowing your ego. So it's like this whole thing about ego is like the enemy, and we've got to do something to overthrow the ego. And and it's just like, so I almost like clicked off the post, and I just thought, no, I have to say something. Like, this energy was just moving through me, and I'm just like, this is everything that Nat and I have been talking about, and this is why we feel like we've got to speak up and take a stand for this. Like, and it is literally taking a stand for it, because I know I've definitely been caught in that shit for so many years. And it's so easy to get caught in it, because the ego, as we've talked about, gets so clever with the stories. Like, it starts to speak your language. So you start doing consciousness work, and it starts to speak in that language. So it's kind of like, you can just, you can keep yourself in like a maze for years, even when you're on the consciousness journey, with that, still keeping this separate energy going with the ego. And so that, as soon as I saw that book, I was just like, this is just another thing about keeping yourself separate, like that their ego is real, and we need to do something to overcome it. And so I ended up writing back. Said, look, this is just my opinion, but I really need to push back on this. Like, I had a real visceral feeling come up in my body when I saw that book. And I'm really questioning, why are you even reading a book like that? Like, just the title of it alone just, doesn't want, I want to throw the book. I don't want to read it. Like, it's kind of like, it's just sort of, so I sort of just, and I said, look, the context of why I'm saying this is just like Nat and I doing these daily talks that we've been doing for, I think I counted, we've done 67 episodes or something now. Yep. So us talking about this stuff every day has definitely shifted ourselves, as we've talked about before, like the benefits that we're kind of seeing, I guess, of staying in this loop of talking about this stuff, knowing ourselves as the infinite feeling moving through us, creating the space for it, sitting with things that, allowing the feelings to be there and not labeling them. So all the things that we've spoken about over lots of our videos, about all the different things about creating the right environment, if you like, to tune into the knowingness of your infinite self. So we're kind of seeing the shifts that we've had from doing this as a really daily focused attention to bringing our attention completely back to the truth all the time about who we truly are. And yes, ego stuff comes up, like 100%. Like, we spoke all about that last week. All the stuff that was going on, like, it comes up, like, and it doesn't mean you escape the ego stuff, but it's coming up to be released. It's not there to kind of work out strategy to overcome it. It's not there to analyze it or judge it or all the stuff that, our mind wants to do. It's there to literally come up to go, like, so we can bring some awareness to it and acknowledge it and then let it go. And that's it. So then when I read that book cover, it's just like, oh, this is the shit. This is why people loop all the time. Like, this is spiritual looping and staying in the stories all the time, and just keep putting the focus back on the ego. We just keep reinforcing it. So we have to get really, as Nat did, strict, and as Nat sort of did in yesterday's video, if anyone watched that, like, somebody had commented about, oh, it's really hard to be your infinite nature, and Nat sort of said, no, I'm going to push back on that, because it's not actually hard to be your infinite nature at all. It's our natural way of being. It's our ego mind that wants to tell us that it's really hard.
That's the hard part. That's the part we're trying to learn.
Yeah.
So it's not natural for us.
Totally get that there's stuff that comes up to get in our way, like 100%. Like, but it is about that. What are you focusing on? But you have to be so diligent with your words, with the way you're thinking about things, like how you start your day, like what perspective are you coming from? Are you coming from your ego story, or are you coming from, I'm an infinite being? And okay, stuff comes up, it might trigger you, you see it for what it is, you let it move through you. Like, that's what the space we keep coming is, like, you have to keep training yourself to focus on the truth. And it is a repetition thing. It is this daily thing that you have to kind of do. If you're committed to, you know, being infinite, like everyone that's on the consciousness journey, that is what we reckon we're here to do. So what are you doing then to kind of keep it in your focus all the time? Like, and, you know, so yes, we're going to push back on things like this, because this is why we feel we're here. What we're here on this planet to kind of do, like, it's just coming through us so strong, this energy at the moment. And so we're just finding we are kind of pushing back on different things like this right now, because it's just like, no, I'm sick of this bullshit that goes on that keeps people in the loop. And so I wrote back to her, and I shared that with her, what I was feeling about the book. And then she wrote back and she said, oh, no, that's interesting you say that. She said, actually, the book isn't really about strategies and anything really at all. It's more about this guy's journey, awakening journey, and he's sort of sharing that. And I just really like how he wrote the book. So it's not really a how-to book, even though the cover kind of says that it's strategies. So I said, okay, so he's just blatantly lying then on the cover, because he just basically said strategies to overcome the ego. So if the book is not about that, why is that on the cover? Like, it's kind of, you're doing that to pull people in from an ego perspective. So that sort
it's
of
only be an ego title in the first place.
Yeah, like that pushes my buttons too. Is like, you know, this marketing bullshit that people do just to get people over the line with ego stuff. But supposedly we're spiritual and, you know, living as infinite beings. So there was that aspect too. But I was just like, okay, so it's not true then what he's got on the cover, or it's her take on it anyway. So I said, okay, all right, I get what you're saying. So I said, can I just ask why you picked up the book then? Because
you only had the title to go on.
Yeah, if you only had the title to go on, you didn't know what the book was about. So something, you know, in that, and I'm not going to necessarily share the rest of the conversation, you know, what went on, but it was kind of like, it was just like, yeah, something in that made you pick up that book. But so there was some ego thing that wanted to overcome something. At the end of the day, that would be the honest truth. Like, I know that's what I would, if I'd picked up that book, there would have been a reason for thinking there's still something to fix or change or improve, or there is a strategy to finally get past this story that I'm stuck in, or so I was just like, no. So it's just kind of that sort of had fired me up. So I just sort of shared that with Nat just before, and she's like, all right, let's just do our live about that today. Let's just get on now and
like
chat about it.
To me, is 100% our message about this, and we have to deal out some tough love. We have to deal out tough love to ourselves. We never escape this ourselves. Like, the ego is part of our human journey here. But the more energy we put into the ego and the story, the more it will just keep on coming. It is never, ever going to end. If you keep dealing with your belief systems and your energy and the planets and this, that, and the other, all the stuff that's supposedly outside of us, it's going to keep on coming. It will never end. So if our job here right now in the Infinite Me is to keep reminding everybody how important it is to leave the ego alone and finally move across to only concentrating and dealing with and talking about and feeling the energy of the infinite, then that's what we're here for. Because it's the only way it's going to happen. Only way.
Yes.
Because as soon as we open that little doorway again, and you're right, the ego gets smarter and smarter and smarter. That's what it's there for. It's meant to be doing that too. It's meant to be getting smarter, because as you grow in consciousness, the only thing that's going to take you to that next level is a part of your ego. That's why this whole idea of overcoming your ego is such bullshit. The ego is there helping you become infinite again. It's helping you realize how infinite you already are, not trying to become infinite.
It shows you where your power is outside of you.
Where your power is. Exactly. So it's there helping you. It's your tool. It's not you're not there as a slave to it. It's your tool. Use it. See what it's showing you each day in your everyday reality, to then wake up to and go, okay, I've still got power in the money game. I've still got power in my partner. I think that they're better than me in some way. Take it back out of there and say, okay, we're equal in this partnership. It's nobody's better than the other. You know, we're, I don't know, banking systems and governments and all these things, rules and regulations that we've put all our power into at the top level sort of thing. They're the hard ones to let go of, because everyone in society believes them, and we feel like everybody, like we should still follow the rules and regulations of life. And that might feel true for you, but you don't have to when you're an infinite being. You can actually do what feels true for you in each moment. And that's tough. And it takes every single day to be reminded of this, of your power that you have, and that everything in your reality is created by you. It's nothing outside of you.
Yes.
So why are we talking about the ego? It doesn't even exist at the end of the day. At the highest level, the ego does not actually even exist, because if the infinite is everything, everything, omnipresent, like God, the universe, everything, nothing falls outside of that. So there cannot be anything that is created that hasn't been created by your infinite self or by God, whatever you identify with, it doesn't matter. So the ego is not separate to you, it's helping you. So let's not try and get rid of it. Let's friend it and use it, which is why it was there in the first place. Everything is supporting us in our journey.
Yeah, everything outside of us, like you said, that's everything that we feel triggered by that brings up an emotion in us. Like, instead of reacting to that story, it's about seeing what that's bringing up in us. That's the place we've still got the power. That's the place that we're still buying into the illusion of separation. That's the place that we still feel disempowered on some level, that we can't control it. We can't be our true self in response to that, all that stuff that comes up around that. So it's just, like you said, the more we focus on it, even if it is to kind of go, oh, it wasn't really about that. It's just like, but why are you reading something about that? It's just kind of like, it's still quite coming back to that core thing of something within you was actually drawn to that, like, and your ego was drawn to that, thinking it was going to give you a new outlook on something. And I 100% have done this. So like, it's got, like, I totally know what that feels like to be like on that journey of wanting to understand the ego. Like, I've spent years and years and years doing that. And there is an aspect of that for me that is a true desire to actually understand the workings of the ego a little bit. And I think it's purely because of this work now that we feel like
it's probably because of this work.
Here to do. Yeah, it's 100% because of that. And I've always had this understanding that I was here to do something with helping people shift the stories around this, because I felt so caught in them myself. And I've had this really kind of desire to like really understand it, like to kind of go, wow, like how all the little nuances and how clever the ego gets, and the little ego games and how we distract ourselves. And I've always been very good at being an observer of myself and standing outside myself and detaching and just watching myself, how I respond in stories and what the emotions that are coming up. But I can really detach, from feeling them sometimes, and just sort of observing what's unfolding in the story and how this story fits with that story and the patterns. And so it's all coming through because of this. So there's definitely an aspect of a learning aspect, but there's 100% an aspect of thinking I was broken and needed fixing, and
that's the
needed
problem.
something up until like not that long ago. Like, really, like, I went through the coaching program, like I said, last year, and I went into that with, kind of definitely had a knowingness that I was an infinite being, but there was still like really getting controlled by the ego, like, and I was getting so frustrated because of that gap that you can see between your knowingness that you're an infinite being, like you've had some evidence of it, you've had some experiences with it, but how do I live this every day? And that frustration that comes up of observing that gap is like that sadness we feel, or the anger that we feel, or and it's just highlighting that there is a truth there, we know it, but we're not living it. So that's been our focus, I guess, for particularly having these conversations. That's what it was born out of, was to bring the attention to, how do we live this? Like, we want to live this 100% ourselves. So like, let's just, what does that look like? Okay, let's talk about this every day. Okay, let's share it with some other people. Like, and we're getting such great feedback from people that are watching the videos right now that it's really landing with people, because I think people are just sick of the bullshit. Like, it's just like, you want to,
we're identifying, finally you step outside it and go, shit, I have just been looping for years and years and years, same fucking stories coming up over and over again. And they might change form, and we do it, instead of the money game, we're talking about a relationship now, same story. And it's like, when does it ever end? Like, when would it ever end? Unless we finally put a line in the sand and say enough to ourselves, and enough as the consciousness of the collective itself. Like, at what point does somebody make a stand and say, okay, we've been going along with all these different modalities and this, that, and the other. they're fun. They're not meant to be, yes, they help a little bit on the wakening up journey, but they're still keeping you looping. That's the problem, is that there's got to be a point at which we say, enough. Like, we're only talking about the infinite now.
Yes.
And I got to say, like, since, well, before we did start talking about all this stuff, like until the 1st of July, I can say I was definitely still in all the stories, exactly the same stuff. I've done this for 15 years, done so many different modalities, and I've had some great consciousness awakenings, and learned parts of myself and all that sort of stuff, learned about the ego and everything, like same as you. Like, we've just so much study and so much consciousness. Like, every day, every moment, I feel like I'm asking myself consciousness questions and trying to be more and more conscious in my living about what I'm doing. But still, it was there until I started going, no, this is not working. I've got to just start talking about the infinite. And if I just do that, then suddenly all there is the infinite. Like, funnily enough, that's how it works. Because if you're creating your reality, it's even just logical if you think about it. If you are creating your reality and you're thinking about all the stories and the ego, and you're dealing with that and all different modalities and strategies and all these things, then your reality has to reflect that. I can't do anything else. Your reality is not out there. It's purely your reflection of your consciousness and where you're at. So it has to keep showing up different things. It has to show up new beliefs, new modalities. Oh, why don't you try this? Oh, here's another idea. Why don't you go and do that course? Or here's another book, a great book that you could read. It's all about the ego. All these different things. And it's like, it can't do anything else. It's just a projector screen. So you have to go back inside. That's what I keep talking about. You have to go back inside and go, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I am going to make a stand for myself, if no one else, and say, I'm only going to think about, deal with, embody the energy of the infinite now, so that I can see my reality change. The projector screen then has an ability to change into something that's more infinite. All the stuff that you're wanting, that we're all trying to work towards, actually is there available for us, but not in the storyline and not in the ego space. Just, well, you'll never get it. And if you do get it, you won't be fulfilled with it.
I think you can use modalities or books or different resources, that come across your path. If they really resonate and there's some truth to them, follow that path, because there will be something in that will expand your awareness for sure. Like, I've 100% done that, and got amazing sort of insights and expansion of my inner space, if you like, from knowing that I'm an infinite being. But then there's a point that the ego hooks into it and turns it into an outcome. It turns it into trying to get something out from it. And it's almost like you probably, if you were really conscious and went back and looked at different things, you could see the turning point, like where it started off as a true feeling. It's like this, oh my God, no, I'm really drawn to do this thing. It feels so intuitive. It feels so right. And then part way into like a course or something, and then it's just like, then it becomes about something else. Like, your expectations come up and your ego starts taking over, and you're creating a story about, oh, but I could do this with it, or and then it gets taken off course, and suddenly you're back in the ego story and not coming from that space of an infinite being, and this is true for me anymore. So definitely, I've spent thousands of dollars doing things over the years, and just seen where it's completely taken me off track at times. And my ego has. It's not the teacher, it's not the, it's like, it's my own creation, like, that's taken me off that track, because I hooked into that idea that I'm separate again. So they're all good, massive learnings, and great, fuel for your journey, if you like, when you can kind of see it for what it is, and kind of go, oh wow, there I am again, like looping in that story. Like, and so, but it is about that bringing your attention to the feelings that are coming up with you, and being so in tune with your body that you feel when something just feels off, and you don't question it anymore, and you just kind of go, okay, maybe I need to walk away from that coaching course or that degree that I've just started doing at university, or that job that I used to be good for a year, but now it just feels really bad for some reason. And it's not that I'm fighting with people at work, it's just this feeling like, and it's kind of, we have to start tuning into that kind of stuff and honoring that, because that is the truth. Not the outside stuff that we look for to you know, as I said, it could help us on our journey, but only to a point. We have to be very aware of when it starts taking over. And, you know, the world outside of us, like as we've spoken about before, like there is other, you know, stories going on in our consciousness, if you like, that we've put there that are there to kind of pull us off track. You know, there is a lot of, like, just the cover of that book, for example, it's like, why are you putting that title on a book if it's not actually what it's about? Like, you're appealing to the ego. It's like, why are we still doing that stuff? Like, it's just like we're evolving in consciousness, so we don't need to do that like smoke and mirror type, like, I don't know what the right word for it is, but like just with marketing. I mean, my background's in design and marketing, so I know 100% what the bullshit that goes behind the scenes of trying to get people across the line for the sake of money. Like, and it's just, it just feels icky in your body. Like, now people are just not buying into that stuff anymore. Like, you can tell when somebody's just trying to sell you on something. It's not a true calling for that person or a true feeling, and the wording is just like, the energy of it is just off. Like, it's just kind of, if we tune into that stuff and use your intuition to guide you to the right resources that are going to help you stay on the infinite path and keep reminding you of who you truly are, and then let go of absolutely everything else. Like, you've got to be really strict and you've got to be really strict now. Like, I've had to really simplify a bunch of stuff now, because it's just like, no, it's not resonating anymore. It's not the truth anymore. It was a truth at one point, but it's not now. And we keep growing and expanding, and and the ego does, as you said, the ego grows with us because it is part of our consciousness. So the ego gets cleverer and it starts speaking the language of consciousness because it's actually part of our consciousness. So as we expand, our ego expands too, in terms of its knowledge of our language and our patterns and all that kind of stuff. So it looks like it's getting smarter, and we're like, why can't I outsmart my ego? And it's like, well, you never will. Like, that's the whole point of it. Like, it's, you can't, you never ever will. So it's like, why put the focus on that? And like what you said, Nat, too, like up until a couple of months ago, we started doing this. My focus was like here and there a little bit. With, I was always listening to stuff every day, reading stuff. Like, so I've always had a very good focus on consciousness and awakening and expansion and feeling myself growing. Like, you know, my energy space is bigger and all that kind of stuff we've spoken about. But it wasn't until we've like gone, line in the sand, we're only focusing on this now. We're not going to focus on the other stuff, like that we've noticed a massive shift. And so it's like, oh, we're kind of just proving to ourselves, like, all the other stuff we've been doing up until this point has assisted, but it's also taken you off track. Like, it's also looped and caused, I think, a lot more stories in some ways. Like, some of the things that we've done over the years, it's like created massive ego stories. So, but it's all part of it. Like, you see it for what it is now and you let it go, like, and just go, okay, that was an experience. I got this out of it now. Time to move on. But just, the last 2 months has been a massive wake up call and also a calling for us now, like true sort of feeling of like, nah, time to take a stand on this. We're here to lead a movement around this. Like, it's just like, no, someone's got to stand up and start talking about this stuff and pushing back. Like, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other people that are feeling the same way, you know. So
it's interesting, you know, seeing other teachers talk about the infinite here and there type thing, and that might be the premise of some of their work. But I don't really see anyone, like, maybe there are people and I'm just not aware of them, but of people only talking about this, only talking about the infinite and disregarding all the rest of the stories and the ego stuff. And that's where it feels like consciousness is shifting now. It feels like it's time for this to, like, I don't know about if my consciousness is part of the one and I'm indicative of everybody, then I'm certainly feeling it, and I know you're feeling it. Just like sick to death of the spiraling and the ups and downs of, well, not even ups and downs. The ups and downs are fine, but it's just that looping backwards, you know, round and round and round type thing that it just seems to be that you'll never get out of, and it will just keep going forever until you actually ask yourself, like, at what point am I going to stop this? Jody, just tell her.
100%.
Do we not just create stories to be entertained by them? Just a different lens to look at the word ego. Yeah, that's the thing. It's when you really are living the infinite space, then the stories are just pure entertainment, like watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know, you watch a movie,
Yes.
you're not in the movie, in the storyline. You're actually
you know
watching
it's
the
not real.
storyline. Yeah, it's all just made up by actors and props and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it becomes like that, so that you can be entertained. And it will give you different emotions, exactly like a movie does. You know, you watch a sad movie, you're going to feel really sad and depressed. You're going to watch an adventure movie and you're really hyped up and you're really excited. You're going to watch a horror movie and you're terrified and there's fear coming up. The life movie is no different to that. It's exactly the same.
Yes.
It's going to, and if the mind doesn't know the difference between what's in the imagination and what's actually happening in reality, then it's 100% like that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 11:11 here in Belgium.
And it's only when we do attach to those stories, like we said, like we put some judgment on the story, that we think it's real. Then we keep reinforcing it then, and we do get caught into the story. But like what you're saying, like when you're at a movie watching something up on the screen, like we know it's not real, but for that 2 hours that you watch that movie, you can get so drawn into a story and you feel all the emotions and it feels like the characters are real. But on some level, you still know it's a movie. Like there's always this awareness that it's a movie. And so, yes, you'll be moved by it and you'll have an experience, an emotional feeling, but you know it's a movie. So it's the same thing with that we need to bring to our reality, like coming from that infinite space. We'll be moved by things and we will have some reactions and we will be triggered by certain things. But that's the whole point of the infinite being created the game, to experience itself in all the different aspects and feelings and perspectives and outcomes and creations and all different things. So it's like, why wouldn't you experience it for what it is? It's just an energy moving through your body, and it's only the labels that we're putting on those things that make it right or wrong or good or bad, or shouldn't be feeling this but should feel that, you know, whatever the stories are that we have going on. Yep 100%. Yes,
I think that's it. It's whenever the ego comes up and the stories come up, you have to pull yourself up on it over and over again. Remind yourself of the truth. Like, come back to, how is reality constructed? How's that story constructed? Like, I guess we're giving you these metaphors and we're using them ourselves because it is such a good reminder. So when you're in the story and something really crazy is happening and it's drawn you into it again, hopefully something triggers about the movie concept. And you can think about yourself sitting in a movie theater watching a screen of what's playing out in front of you at that time with you as an actor, part of it. You're actually in that movie. So you're actually watching
it's almost
yourself.
like if you can step outside yourself, and like a director would be, and like watching the whole thing going on. Like if you can come from that perspective, it just gives you a total different view of what's actually playing out. Like you're bigger than the story. You're not the story. You're bigger than that. You're way bigger than that. Like it's just, and you get that feeling then when you can step outside it. It's just an experience.
And I feel like we've probably all experienced that at some stage. And I know Jody tells a story about when we're in Dubai. Where she really went off at somebody in Dubai, and she had this total out-of-body experience. And I'm sure we've all experienced this at some stage because it's called witnessing. And as you become more conscious, you tend to do it more. Is that witnessing of watching yourself literally having a go at somebody or whatever's going on. Like, it can be when it's really quite sort of there's a lot of energy going on too, where you really do draw yourself back, or it's a situation that is really, I found it when it's a really unusual situation, or you didn't feel like you were going to be in that situation or something. Like it's you don't generally happen when it's your everyday type situation, sort of thing, is what I guess I'm saying. It's like when it's a really unusual situation,
out of the ordinary type.
Out of the ordinary, So you do tend to have this little bit of removed aspect to it, and you can virtually watch yourself play out and go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm behaving like that right now. But that's ridiculous. Like, and that's you experiencing yourself as the actor. It's exactly what we're talking about right now. You're sitting back watching the movie and you're watching yourself be an actor in it. And it's like, there's the truth. You've just had a glimpse into the truth.
Yes. And even things like deja vu and all that kind of stuff, it's like, it's time. There is no time. So it's like deja vu is just that same moment. It's happening in the present moment, but you have a feeling like you've had that moment before. It's like there is no time. So it's like, it's just you sort of witnessing yourself, like in having that experience, like a knowingness of who you truly are. Like it's almost like a glimpse into your infinite nature. When you have a deja vu moment, you're kind of like, oh, I kind of know this on some level, that I feel like I've done this before or something. It's kind of quite a weird feeling. Yeah. So
yeah, it definitely is quite crazy seeing that same black cat again.
Yes.
Next time you get hooked into a good story, I'm going to visualize pressing the eject button like an old VHS player. I'll take the tape out, and then that story can end right there. That's so true. That's really cool.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's cool having all these analogies and stories, because they do stick in your mind.
They do.
Like, you know, the movie analogy that we've talked about, like you're sitting in a cinema watching a movie, you can't change what's on the screen in front of you. Like it's impossible. Like it's already, it's just being projected up there through a light box onto a screen. You can't change it. So you have to go back within to the person that created it, where the imagination point that story came from. That's the only place we can change our actual outside manifestation of things. So it's like all these little analogies just kind of help to, you know, something happens outside of you and you go to react, and then you kind of go, oh, that's right, it's just a movie, or like whatever that story that pops in, that just helps you to kind of remind you of who you truly are and bring your attention back to the truth. Like they're all really, really helpful, but the repetition thing is so important. No,
it's got to be every day. You've got to be just so onto this stuff, in every moment. But that everyday reminder, or several times a day, however it comes to you, hopefully these lives are helping, is that constant reminder for people.
Yep. And that's what I think Nat and I are sort of really committed to now. Like it's felt really true for us, and we've been definitely working on some things behind the scenes, as we said, some bigger things in the pipeline that we want to roll out. But we do feel like we're here to shift paradigms. We do feel like we're here to break some old stuff down now and take a stand for this stuff. And today was just like a confirmation, if you like, of like, yep, I knew this was true. Like this instance, you know, so in my storyline, I created that thing to happen today for me to get fired up and to kind of go, you know what, I need to say something about this. Like, it's like, okay, that energy is moving through me, and I feel like it's almost gone out of my body now. Like, but that feeling was just sitting in me today. Like this is like, nuts, time to do something about this. Time to more than what we're doing now. You know, like it's kind of like, yes, we're already having these conversations and we've got these ideas, but no, it's time to now like really roll this thing out. And so without sort of, you know, kind of really going into what we're working on right now, but we are looking for people that would like to help us get this thing off the ground. Like we've got some massive ideas, which we would, you know, we will be unveiling soon. But we're looking for some founding members that would like to be a part of what we're doing. Like we've already had a couple of people reach out to us who are really interested in what we're doing right now and finding out what we're working on. And, you know, we've got an idea of what that looks like, but we're just putting it out. I said to Nat, what if we just put it out there today now and just say, look, we're looking for some founding members that would like to come on board and be our first people that will help us get this off the ground, and we can in return do something in exchange, you know, like to help your journey. So it's like you'd be helping a bunch of other people like to move a whole paradigm for themselves too. Like, and would you like to be a part of that? Like this, so if you're interested, message us and we can work out what that actually looks like. We're still kind of working out what that looks like right now, but we'd love to hear from anyone that's kind of keen to sort of jump on board and wants to draw a line in the sand as well and wants to help create something. Yeah, something big.
Yeah, this definitely is going to be a movement. Without going into too much detail, we're definitely here to create a bit of a revolution. So we have said enough. We are really now wanting to move only into the infinite space, and we're looking for people to come with us on that journey. We feel that consciousness is ready, and that people that have been on the consciousness journey is ready for this message. And if you want to join us as the founding members of that revolution, as we put it together, then we would love to have you on board. And we are going to have courses and roll out different programs so that this does become every day for people. They have a support network of people, of not other people that are dealing with ego issues and stories and all that sort of stuff, that keep them accountable to reminding them who they actually are in every moment, dealing out the tough love where it's needed, so that we keep remembering and remembering and remembering. So if it takes a year for us to remember, for some reason a year keeps coming up, if it takes us a year to keep remembering all this stuff, then eventually it's going to become so second nature to us to know who we are and to create from that space in every moment. And amazing what we'll be able to create. Like I can't even imagine right now what is going to create from a movement of people that are actually going to have this same energy now. Finally, we're going to have an energy of this, and hopefully a really big group of people that come on board with this and go, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's see how infinite we actually are. And I'm really talking how infinite we actually are. I'm really feeling like pushing the boundaries on every aspect of that, the monetary system, the body, the legislation and governments and all that stuff. Like, let's see how big we can take this and finally take a stand on it all.
Yeah. So and how infinite our creativity is. Like, I'm really excited to see the creativity that comes out of people. Like, when we step into that infinite space, we access an energy that we don't know at this point in time. Like, we're getting glimpses of it now, like, little things that are kind of popping in. It's just like, wow, like that, where'd that come from? Like, it's kind of like, it's this, you're getting glimpses of things, and we're starting to roll out some things. Like, even this idea of the movement is a huge thing that's moving through us right now, but we have no idea where that's going to go. Like, and I'm so excited to see the creativity that's going to unfold other people that come on that journey too, and really choose to step into their infinite nature and let it unleash in the world of, like, what can we do? Like, what problems can we solve? Like, if there was a problem, like outside of us, like, what can we do to solve, come up with solutions for different world issues that we're facing right now? Like, what art can we create? Like, what amazing conversations can we have? Like, just curious to kind of see what's going to come out from people.
When you get a group of people together like that, it's pretty freaking amazing. It's just like that exponential growth. I guess we're all helping each other at that stage. Like, it's okay, Mandy and I are just doing it, and some of you guys have been on the journey with us, for the last sort of month or two. But imagine having thousands of people like this, like just or 100,000 people that are all doing this. It's like, whoa, that's like really game changing and world changing at that stage. Like, what we can create. Let's take a walk on the wild side. Let's do it. All right, rant over.
So let us know. Let us know what shifted for you today, or what line in the sand are you drawing for yourself? Like, is this resonating for you? Like, this call to step into your infinite self 100%. Like, this whole thing, we can't have one foot in each world, because it just doesn't it doesn't work in terms of, like, we're not looking at the outcome of it, but you feel torn between the truth and the lie, if you like. So that gap that I was talking about before, you get this frustration that you feel because you're trying to do both things and you just can't. Like, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, that gap, and more frustrating. So you just choose to take the leap and step into the infinite space and show up as that infinite thing and just go on that wild ride. Like Jodie just sort of said, like, it is a wild ride, and it will take you to places you can't even imagine. Will take us all to places we can't even imagine right now. So it's just, exciting, I think.
Yep. Amazing. I can't wait. It's already happening. It's so cool.
Yes.
Louise is in. Woo!
Excellent.
Nice.
A little posse starting.
I know. This is so exciting. You guys have been so important to us, because you have been watching our lives lately. And you know what we're about, and you know what messaging is, and you're getting shifts, and like, we're all getting shifts. We're all getting them together. Like, we're certainly no more advanced than you guys are. We're just channeling some of this stuff right now. But it's amazing to go on the journey with you guys. It will feel like an absolute privilege to be able to do that, and see what we can create. Like, it just got such amazing visuals that are going on, and we've had visuals for years about what's going to be created, and now it feels like it's actually coming into play. Like, it actually feels like, oh my god, this is actually going to happen. This is so freaking cool, and there's some great visuals going on. There's some amazing stuff.
There's some amazing things.
Some awesome big stuff. So very cool. All right, well, there you go. That was worth breaking protocol from, of the, like, infinite lucky day.
No stakes in the energy that flows through you, like when you follow it to see where it's going to go. So
Totally. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you all again tomorrow.
Thanks for joining. Bye.
You are infinite only.
Yep.
Know it.